it's very interesting to look at how the world goes around, but at the end of the day, it's always about the same thing. It's about money. And the motivation of the bad guys, the hackers, the people that put out there those zero-day threats is always driven by either fame or money. Turns out that fame was what they used to be after. Today, these people are growing up, they're older, they want nice cars, they want to have a nice apartment, and therefore they're going after money. So how do you monetize those hacks that they have? When they're able to upload some code into the infrastructure of any organization, or whether it's a company or a governmental organization, how do they monetize it? Well, they resell it. First, they have to extract it, and then they have to resell it. And they're going after the high price. High price data is what makes a difference. The information is what they're after. So it's going to be intellectual property, or it's going to be information that will give them the ability to manipulate markets where they can make money, or information that they can just resell in a very simple way. That's what influences the market. Well, the challenge is the same, really. Given how fast the market is moving, you see those threats appearing everywhere in every market, pretty much at the same time all over the world. The difference is really around communication and how markets react to it. Certain markets, I find, tend to be more open. The media will expose some of those leaks that happen. We see it all over the press in the US. The Anglo-Saxon world tends to be a little more open around communication. I find some of the APAC markets and India specifically to be a little more secretive around some of those leaks and some of the challenges that are being faced. The other aspect of that is the legislator is probably a little more ahead of the game in the US. You look at some of the norms and some of the policies that are being pushed out in terms of compliance. PCI is a good example. PCI is something that is required by the US administration. In markets such as India, the requirements are not as heavy on organizations, and they rely more on their own decision to make those implementations. I think everybody tends to have that reaction of saying, well, I'm too small, they're not watching me, they don't want me, I'm invisible, my bank is not so famous, my company doesn't design such a well-known product, and I hope to get away with it just because I'm small or not very visible. You see that kind of behavior everywhere. And what's happening now with the availability of tools to work through big data, those tools work on both sides. So if you think of a company leveraging big data to make the right business decisions, the hackers also have access to that information to do data mining within a very wide array of companies. Being small, being one in the middle of a million other companies is not enough anymore, because hackers will extract data and then data mine, and with big data tools, they have access to what you're trying to hide there. So nobody is protected by the sheer number of companies or their small size. I would say the first thing, which is not dependent on any product, is really you have to have an aggressive patch policy. You need to be constantly upgrading and say if Microsoft is coming out with a new patch, you need to roll it out. You need to be making sure that you have the latest release of any code that you're running within your organization. That's the first one, that's the obvious one. The second one is you have to protect your users. Users don't mean to get hurt, but they're just trying to do their jobs, and sometimes they find themselves exposed by going out in an environment on the web where they download some bad code, some malicious code that will put your organization at risk. So CISOs and CXOs need to protect the users, and in today's environment, it means they need to protect them with a real-time solution. In the case of a zero-day, by definition, you can't be expecting a signature-based technology to take care of recognizing that zero-day threat. You need to have behavioral engines, and you need to have the technology to be able to detect and stop that zero-day threat right there. You're making a very good point, Sharon. There is no point in protecting a business if you have no business. If you kill the business because you put so many locks on the doors that people can't get to work, you don't have a business. So enablement and making sure that people can still do their job is the number one priority. So how do you do that? Well, you have to constantly, as a CISO, be looking for the latest technology that will, in a non-impactful way, protect the users without slowing them down. The way Websense got to that result is by investing over $500 million over 5 years to develop a set of tools that sit inline and can, through a proxy and a DLP engine, analyze the data, keep the bad stuff out of the organization, and keep the good stuff, the intellectual property, and the things that are important to any organization within the network. And we do that also by bringing in the infrastructure of the cloud as well as an on-premise solution so that the users are protected no matter where they are. That's a lot of investment from a technology perspective that we then bring to the service of organizations. Unfortunately, it is my belief that the legislator is always late. By the time the government realizes that something needs to be done, it's probably 2 to 3 to 5 to 10 years late. So it is our duty as security officers and security experts to constantly stay ahead of the wave and make sure that we provide a level of protection that the government and the administration has not realized is out there yet. How do you do that? Well, you need to network with your users. You need to understand where they go, what they do. You also need to talk to your peers in the industry, as well as talk to the different security vendors out there and understand what they do. We have a security lab with over 100 researchers. We're constantly leveraging the understanding that Websense has of the web. What we do is any given day, we will scan 5 to 8 billion, not million, 5 to 8 billion URL in any given day, and we know 98% of the web. So we constantly see the threat landscape and what is infected out there, and we can then inform our users and, more importantly, updates the technology that we put at their disposal to protect their users. Here in India, we've tripled the size of our support center out of India. The size of our team in India is twice as big today as it was 3 years ago on the sales and marketing side. And we're having huge success in this market. I think India, I'm very proud to say, is one of the markets where we are the security leader in the data leakage protection. We have a dominant market share here, and we work with all the marquee customers in the market, and I'm very proud of doing so. So yes, the world is evolving, and Websense is trying to follow that trend, making sure that we service our customers wherever they are and however they want to buy.